Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Based upon this philosophy by Mr. Nelson Mandela, I, Mahesh Mehta, Head Retail Forex, welcome you all to the first edition of Axis Bank Horizon, a journey towards your dream. With an increasing concept of global village or globalization, one of the important aspects is people movement from one country to another, be it for business, job, travel or education. Exposure to international market adds value to overall personality of an individual. As we have seen in past, study abroad as a concept is growing rapidly. This gives global exposure to students as well as opens door for multiple opportunities. Today, we have gathered here to discuss this in detail. To join us in this discussion, we have our eminent guest with us. They are the industry experts and they have been in this industry for last many years. They're going to share their expert comments on various aspects related to study abroad. Let me introduce our first guest, Mr. Manish Petka, CEO Charms Education. We have our second guest, Mr. Jasmeet Singh Bhatia, Director Landmark Immigration, and our third guest is Dr. Sumit Jain, Director Jain Overseas. Welcome all to this session. We'll try to cover the pertinent questions which comes in our mind when we think of traveling abroad for further studies. If you look at the current numbers, as per the recent market study, currently 8 lakh students are studying abroad. I think this number will go up to 2 million by 2024. Jasmeet, I just want to understand what are the advantage and the opportunities available for the students, those who are thinking to study abroad?
Yes, this is a burning question in every student's mind these days. So I feel as the international education is getting affordable day by day, so there are many options for students to study abroad and acquire these skills. So students, by studying abroad, they will learn different ways of life. It will make them more tolerant to the new cultures internationally. And I feel they will learn so many things which will help them grow internationally. So while working here or in abroad, it will be beneficial for them.
Thank you very much. So as we all know, UK and US are the primary destinations selected by students. However, with the development happening across the world, there are many other emerging destinations which has come up across in the last few years. So my question to you, Manish, what are the preferred destinations as well as what are the destinations which has emerged in the last few years?
Yeah, Mahesh, traditionally you are right that US and UK have been like kind of dream destinations for a lot of students, like a lot of families, they take pride in sending their wards, like to these destinations. But in the past few years, the other English-speaking countries such as Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, they have also become very popular. The studies, the study quality, the levels are quite similar in all these countries. The students are able to study all kind of courses, but they offer some, each country has something extra to offer, to attract the international students, such as Canada, they offer residency options, very good options for post-study work. After the students complete their studies, they get some useful job experience, which actually helps them for their residency, etc. And even these days, the non-English speaking countries such as France and Germany, now they have also, they are also emerging very popular, among the students. Earlier, the students had to, there was a conception that the students had to learn either French or German, to study in these countries. But these countries have really opened up with some good English, the courses which are taught in English also. So the students have got much wider choice.
Another major reason why other countries have come up apart from US and UK is their residency options. All of these countries, Canada, Australia and New Zealand, are offering some ways for international students to come into their countries and get the permanent residency over there.
And during these past 3 years, even in 2020, 21 and 22, Canada has been taking students regularly. And residency options are the best for Canada, as we all know. Previously, there was 3 states students were going abroad, like Punjab, Gujarat and Kerala were the most popular for Canadian options. But now it is seen that other states also, where like Maharashtra, has good number of students going to Canada, and other states as well are now looking at Canada as option.
So I think apart from US and UK, the Canadian market is one of the largest market, and after that, as you said, Germany and France has emerged.
They are growing, and Germany is growing very fast.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So journey to study abroad has a screening process, and all these universities have their own set process for selection of the students. So Sumit, my question to you is, what are the examination which student need to prepare for when they're planning to go abroad for further studies?
There are a lot of examinations which are being accepted by various colleges and universities. As far as English is concerned, IELTS is the examination which is accepted by primarily all the countries like Canada, USA, UK, New Zealand and Australia. Apart from that, GRE, GMAT, SAT, these are the examination for those who are looking for admission, particularly in USA, as well as master degree and management courses over there. So based on these examination and the choice of country which student want to go, we suggest the test which student have to take.
I suppose there are a few common and mandatory examination which need to be taken care, right, by all
Yeah.
the students.
Yeah, these are some minimum band requirements which are required for the students for different countries. Like for Canada, to be eligible for study direct stream SDS, minimum 6 each score is required in all the 4 modules: listening, writing, reading and speaking.
I think this course plays an important role to get into admission in all these.
Yes,
foreign
the
universities.
most popular one is IELTS, which is
Okay.
being accepted by Canada, US, UK, Australia, and New Zealand. So, if anybody is looking to study abroad, if anyone is looking to study abroad, first test they have to clear their English exam. So, PTE is also a second test, which is also accepted by Canada and Australia, even UK. So, some institutes are accepting that. But the most acceptable one right now in the market is IELTS test.
And during the COVID, a lot of other tests have already been accepted by the colleges and universities, like Duolingo as well as Kale and CELPIP, which is widely used nowadays by the students.
So how much time it takes for the screening process, basically?
So it depends on a student to student that how much time they will take. Some students don't even need training. They go and give their test and they pass. But some students may take months to clear those tests.
Okay. These are certified trainings modules.
So it's an unconventional way of doing training right now. So if you say that there is a certification kind of opening a training center, there is not. But there's a lot of material on YouTube. There's a lot of material online. There is a lot of material being offered by these English testing centers. So if students, if they are capable enough, they don't need to go to training center. Yeah, and if they need training centers, then there are a lot of training centers come up. And those training centers, like where we do or in our part of the country, so every week there's a test. Every Saturday is kind of a test to test the ability of the student. So if the student is doing good in those tests, he can definitely pass the actual test.
So as a student consultants, you all also conduct these training sessions?
Definitely, we also have, this is like we all are offering a complete package kind of a thing. So if a student walks into us and tells us that he needs guidance for training, yes, they give them guidance for training. So they need to know what is the cost of study abroad. Then we guide them, this will be the cost of study abroad. And then they want to know about the country, like which country is suitable to them. So that also depends on the affordability of the student, like what is his tuition fees requirement, what he can pay. So then we can decide the country. And then also if he's not able to get, like example, Canada is having 6 each as base requirement. If you don't have 6 each, then you cannot apply to Canada. So if he's not able to get that 6 each band requirement, then he can do a test at lower levels also and then go into some other country like UK. So right now UK has a less band requirement.
So these trainings are specific to countries as well as to the courses, right?
No, so there is a benchmark. There is a benchmark of each country. So Canada has a policy. So Canada immigration policy is like that, which has been a very strong and stable policy because it's been like 15 years. Canada has introduced some programs, like previously it was a student partners program. which was called SPP. Then they came up with SDS, Student Direct Stream Program. So that immigration of Canada has made these policies that if a student has these many bands, then they can go to Canada to study. But in some cases, Australia, it's totally different. The universities decide that student is eligible to come to the country or not. So every country has different immigration policies. Every country has a different immigration process. Every country has different interview process. If you tell me Canada takes interviews very less, like out 1%, not even 1%. And if you tell me Australia takes interview, embassy is not taking interview, but universities do take interviews. And in case of UK also, this is the same scenario. And for USA, if you tell, every student has to go for a face-to-face interview in the High Commission. Without that, they are not eligible to get any kind of visa. So every country has a different panel selection for giving them visas.
Okay, I think this was insightful. I think this will help our viewers. So apart from these examination, what are the other factors one need to take care? If you can just elaborate.
So the most important factor is the ranking of the university or the college. So students should look at which university or which college he is going into. Another part is safety. Safety is major concern for parents. So will their student kids will be safe in other countries, other part of the world, they will be safe. So safety is the major concern which every parents come to us and ask about us. And then environmental issues. So will be affected by the environment in that country? What is the climatic condition where the student is going to? So what are the language barriers when they will be studying in that country? Like we were discussing, like Germany, most of the public institutes don't teach in English. Most of the public institutes don't teach in English. So if you want to go to Germany, then in a public institute, you need to learn German language. And in Canada, most of the institutes teach in English. So Canada, English is their primary language, whereas second language, if you tell them, is French. So some of the universities or colleges in Canada also teach in French. So there can be some language barriers when student is deciding to go abroad. And if you tell me Germany, if student is looking at studying in English language, then they need to choose a private university. So they cannot go to public university if they are looking at studying in English. So they have very, very less, not even 1% of the public universities are teaching in English. So I feel the most important factors is ranking, then affordability, tuition fees, the environment, the language barriers, and safety. So I feel these are the few important factors which will affect the students, and they need to take these in their consideration.
And also students able to get the cultural shock of it. So when they move to countries like Canada, Germany, US, UK, the first biggest picture coming to their mind is there is a great cultural shock over there. So we have to ensure that students should adapt to these cultural shocks, and they should gel with the local society, with the local community, so that it will helpful for him in their future path.
So Sumit, one of the important factor which comes in student or parents' mind is how to establish that the university or the college and the course you have chosen for is recognized.
For that, lot of information is available on site. Lot of websites are there who are giving us a ranking of particular institutions and also which is the top ranked course in that particular university. It's not like that every university is recognized. Like here in India, we have a lot of different universities. We have top-notch universities, where some universities lacking the basic infrastructure also. The same thing happen in other countries also. So we have to choose very carefully while selecting the course as well as universities. And also, I believe for that, education consultants plays a major important role. The student should meet the counselors wherever they are, so that they can help him and guide him to achieve the right mix of course, college, and also the affordability. So a lot of colleges and universities have their own rankings also across their own countries. Student should get the advice from the counselors.
But I feel the most important role is the consultant. So if you don't choose the right consultant, then you don't go to the right university or the college. So the consultants sometimes see that I would make more money in this college or university. I should send, maybe it's private, maybe it doesn't have any rank, maybe it is not offering quality infrastructure. So this happened with few of the colleges in past few years. But the student should look at choosing the right consultant. They should look at how many years of experience the consultant is having. They should look at the consultant has visited himself the universities or colleges or not. So you go to a consultant who's never gone to Canada, who's never seen USA, who's never been to Germany. Whereas all of us sitting here, we do not miss, any conference which is happening abroad. So we have like a major conference association. It's called the ISEF. So they do these conferences in across the globe. So we all of us, sitting here, we go to Canada, we go to USA, we go to Germany and attend those conferences. We meet the college representatives, we actually find out what are they offering. And our major concern is the student safety and their tuition fees. So there are some scrupulous, colleges also which run away with the tuition fees, So student needs to be very, very careful about tuition fees and choosing the right consultant.
So Manish, once the admission process is complete, so the important aspect is now processing of visa. So as per my understanding, if the student is availing the education loan, that helps in processing of visa, right? So can you please elaborate a bit more in this?
Yeah, just to clear regarding the visa process, the student needs to show the available funds. So the available funds can be anything like savings or fixed deposits that the student has got access to, or the education loan which like a financial institution can offer. So education loan plays a major part, especially in the context of Indian market, because parents normally they have savings, but everybody may not have that kind of savings. So they generally seek the financial institution for the sanction of a education loan. And the visa process, it involves the assessment of the available funds. So education loan, it should be clearly mentioning the total amount that has been sanctioned, as well as the disbursement conditions and the margin money or the interest rate, because the visa process involves even the assessment of the parents' repaying capacity also.
Okay.
So it is very important for the parents who are seeking the education loan to understand what will be their repayment conditions, and as well as the collateral which is being kept as a security with the bank, in case that is the case. So they have to be careful about the collaterals, because some of the embassies, they are very sensitive about the collaterals also, that what is the security that student has kept with the bank for the sanction of the education loan. So these are the major points regarding the education loan.
So what is the duration of getting the visa approved?
It totally depends upon the profile of the applicant. Some of the available funds can be understood and verified by the visa issuing authority, it can be any country. So they will be assessing the availability of the funds. If they are available, they can be verified. Then the processing is done faster. Wherever they have any doubt, it's not regarding only the financial availability, but of course, then there are other factors also, like their educational documents or the other supporting documents, which can be like even their birth certificates, domicile certificates, or anything that is connected with the student's admission process to any university and all. So financial aspect is just one vertical, but there can be many other verticals which are assessed by the embassies, and so once they are satisfied with all the aspects, then the process is completed. Okay, so it varies. It can be very fast. Some of them just happens in few days also, but some of them can take a few weeks and a few months. Generally, you can say like a student should be, if we take a time factor, then student should give a sufficient time, at least a few months' time to get all their file ready and to apply, and they should be actually ready in time by getting the visa approvals in time, so that they can fly in time to join their respective universities and colleges abroad. Yeah.
But I feel generally the visa timing is 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
Generally, if you tell us what will the time take embassy will take. But right now, if you tell me Canada High Commission is coming to 30 to 45 days for good profile students, as Manish added, like it depends on the profile to profile. So for a good profile, right now we have seen some results coming 30 to 45 days. Okay. Previously, it was extended up to 180 days. Like it was taking 6 months during COVID due to the pendency of files. So right now also High Commission has, I feel so, 4 to 5 lakhs student application visas under process in Canada. And if you tell me about USA, so it depends on the USA interview appointment. So right now embassy is giving appointments for after 8 months. So if you tell me USA, they will have to appear for an interview appointment if they have to get the visa. So it all depends on the High Commissions. Every High Commission has a different pattern of processing. And if you tell me education loan also depends. So if you are going to Canada, then you need to get that money dispersed before you avail the visa. So you need to pay the tuition fees, you need to pay the GIC before you lodge your file in the High Commission. But for Australia, for New Zealand, you don't need to do that. You can put your sanction letter, as you said, you can use that sanction letter as your proof of funds. But how you have taken that education loan, that will be also verified by Australia and New Zealand High Commission. And for US also, you don't need to pay any tuition fees, you don't need to pay any living funds, living costs to any bank. You just need to have proof of funds. You go to embassy, take an interview, take your visa, and even after you get your visa stamped on your passport in USA, then you can pay your tuition fees.
So you mean to say different countries have different visa process?
Each country has a different processing time. Each country has a different financial aspect. Each country follows a different timelines.
So Jasmeet, as you mentioned, good profile. So what do you mean to say good profile? Is it like score or any other factor?
So see, good profiles by mean like their percentage, their CGPA, their average score in the individual subjects, So Canada, right now, if you tell me their basic requirement is 6 each.
Right.
6 each IELTS, you have IELTS 6 each, you come under SDS stream. But there are like more than 200,000 applications with 6 each. So they will be monitoring who's having 7 bands, who's having 8 bands in IELTS. And then the percentage also matters. If you are a 90% student and you have some scholarship from a university, and then you have 7 bands, and then you have paid your full year tuition fees, you have paid your GIC, which is guaranteed investment certificate, and then if you've done everything, then your visa can be processed in 15 days. And suppose you are an average student, you have lower marks, your percentage is 55%, and your band is also 6 each, that means you are a mediocre profile. Then they will take that profile, they will keep it aside, and they will process the better profiles before. Not in the High Commission case, even the universities and colleges also have started doing this ranking system. So if a student is a good profile candidate, like a high percentage, high IELTS score, then he will get admission first than an average profile.
Okay, you mentioned GIC twice in this conversation. My understanding, few of these countries, they require student to invest in some fund, which is as guarantee, right? Which is GIC, I suppose. So if you can just elaborate a bit more, what is GIC and what all countries this GIC is applicable?
Yes, sure. So GIC is Guaranteed Investment Certificate, which is used as proof of funds for your living cost in Canada. So it is actually, this term is used by Canadian High Commission only, not applicable to other countries, but the only second country which has started using this thing is Germany, which they have termed this as blocked account. Canada needs $10,000, which if a student has $10,000, that means he can sustain his living cost in Canada. So he can use that fund monthly, he can withdraw some amount. Initially when he visits Canada, He reaches Canada, then he can withdraw $2,000. But after that, he can withdraw equal installments monthly, which can be used for his living cost. For Germany, they need 11,000 euros. So that's for Germany, and they call it blocked account. But I feel GIC is very, very simplified process. All other countries should also follow, because once the student has paid to a Canadian bank, it means they have to pay it before getting their visa processed.
Okay.
So like other countries, Australia and New Zealand, they need a bank statement, they need education loan, they need your sponsor to show those funds, and then you get visa. I feel GIC or a blocked account is a simplified procedure to show your living cost.
Thanks, Jasmeet. So Manish, as we were talking about the screening process and the examinations, so once the screening process is done and the examination process is over, one of the important question comes in our mind is which course to be opted for. So, just with your experience and knowledge, can you please elaborate a bit more on what are the courses available in different universities abroad?
Yeah, I'll try to give my point of view as a consultant.
Sure.
So, there are numerous number of courses available. There is such a variety of courses, even the students, they are sometimes amazed, how these countries, their education system is such that you can actually specialize in many things. Traditionally, the BBAs, MBAs have always been very popular, but then the engineering courses, the medical courses, especially these days, computer science is really very popular. And now the things that are, the world is changing, so the artificial intelligence, so all these courses are very popular among the students who are seeking for their study abroad aspirations,
Yeah, there are some other specialized courses which we never thought of, like full stack, like cyber security, like police foundation, and nursing, law enforcement, which we never heard of in India. These courses are really attracting a lot of students in Canada and other European countries.
Doing an MBA is quite affordable in Canada, so it can be at the same price what we do an MBA in India too. So that is the affordability right now. And if we compare, like both of them said that there are a lot of options, so there are a lot of trades which students can look at while they are moving abroad. Because if you tell me electrician, might be we call it the electrician in India, but electrician is getting the maximum payouts in Canada and abroad. Doing a welding course can give you a lot of money. Not being a white collar job, not being in white collar job, you can make more money doing the trades. So trades play a very important role. Like if you tell me you are a mechanical engineer, you are an automobile engineer, you are a civil engineer, you are a construction management, and in Canada specifically, if you do a 2 years diploma for a trade, then you can get a very high paying salary also. So there is a lot of mix of courses. If you are from an arts background, you can do hospitality, you can do event management, you can do journalism, you can do early childhood education. You're from a medical background, you can do nursing, you can do a social service worker diploma, you can do fitness and health promotion, you can do massage therapy. And if you are from a commerce background, so commerce is the least options, because he can do a business course only, he can do a BBA or a business course only, but he also has a specialization in sales, marketing, finance, international business he can choose from. So to do trades or IT, you need to have maths.
A lot of master's students going to US. The primarily majority of masters after graduation students go to US. While Canada we have more or less a diploma market. A lot of students going to bachelor degrees, diplomas or certificate programs. And parallel again UK, a lot of students going for masters. So geography basically the highest point of these universities and colleges in these countries. In US have a lot of postgraduate universities and a lot of bachelors also, but primary market from India is in postgraduate. And also like MBBS, very few students going from India to do MBBS, but most of them are going to European countries. Earlier they went to Russia and Ukraine. Now that pathway is gone due to the war. And we have seen some students are now going towards Barbados, then and West Indies to study these MBBS courses.
As we are discussing about the post-graduation, right? There are undergraduation courses as well. So what are the prominent undergraduation courses?
BBA is one of the very popular undergraduate course which a commerce background or from like who's done accountancy and a business course. They can do a BBA, BCom or an IT, BTech in computer sciences is the most popular one. So if anybody is from a maths and science background, he's looking at BTech computer science is the very, very high demand course. And to get seats in BTech computer science is difficult in a good university too. So you have to plan 1 year before if you are looking at admission in a high demand course. And if for a medical student, nursing is a very, very high demand. If you're looking at BSc nursing, then you can wait up to 2 years to get into a university, because those BSc nursing, they want local students primarily, and for international students they keep very, very less allocation of seats. So nursing is also very, very in high demand course to study abroad. And then when we talk about this art students, then they can also do like bachelors in political science, bachelors in psychology, bachelors in sociology, bachelors in English, bachelors in journalism. So for an arts background student, they also have a lot of options to do bachelors in media communications, or animation is another field which is coming up very, very well, and students who are looking at interior designing, fashion designing, so these kind of courses are also available. So if you're looking at something in film production also, there are also courses available in all the countries.
So you mean to say the options are equal in both postgraduate as well as the undergraduate program?
So it is beneficial for students to go at early stage, because they will be able to adapt the culture, they will be able to adapt the environment of that country, and if their plan is to settle down in that country, then it will be very, very beneficial for them.
Because as the age factor counts, like a student completing 18 years as a high school student, so they're able to complete their bachelor degrees by the time they're like 22 and 23. And then they can take their post-study work permits and get their residency things sorted out. So we have seen a lot of students, whether they are going to diplomas, advanced diplomas, or these bachelor degrees, they are kind of, they get settled there, like after completing all the formalities for getting their residencies. By the time they are 25 and 26, they are already permanent residents of countries like Canada, and in due course of time, they get the citizenship passport of that country.
How is this placement works there in all these universities? What are the what percentage of the student gets the placement? Is it like it must be definitely depends upon the category of the college you are into.
Yeah.
One, and second thing is what is the situation of getting PR after the education?
So I'll divide this question in two parts. First of all, the job placements, so most of the universities and colleges, they have their own statistics from the earlier students, from the alumni, and some of, most of them, they are getting jobs, and the success ratio, it's about 85 to 90% among all the students, who are studying there, that they are generally getting the jobs after completing their courses. So the employment as such after doing these courses is not a problem.
Okay.
The thing is that they have to complete a certain amount of time in the particular jobs, and regarding their residencies, there is a points-based system, so they complete points which they are required to. Becoming a permanent resident is a completely different application from a student application.
Okay.
So student is traditionally going there for primary reason is to go there and study, and for a permanent residency thing, if he has completed his studies and later on he's got a local job experience, and they count towards the points, and then the person is able to file for the residency, which takes its own turn. The assessment is done on the basis of the track record of the particular applicant,
Right.
regarding, as I said, about the education, their job experience, and but we see, as per our experience, almost 90 to 95% students, they take the option of actually settling down in these countries, So, like the Indians, I guess, they strive very hard, to achieve that success, because it's an achievement for them.
Like placement is very, very important part of student journey. The student which those who are opting for COPE courses, like courses which added some work experience, work component in that, those students are likely to get more better job placements. And also, when we talk about the campus placements or other placements, generally the index is considered after 6 months of the graduation. Like within 6 months of the graduation, almost 90% of the graduate across all the top universities or average universities are getting their placements. And after doing a graduation, I have seen students working in AWS, Walmart, all those big companies, IT companies in various places and across countries, US, Canada, UK, as well as in Australia. So placement based upon the education, the quality as well as exposure the student got in his education. And as far as permanent residency is concerned, students are eligible for postgraduate work permit in most of the countries. Either we talk about Australia, Canada, US and UK and parallel New Zealand. So these countries offer an easy pathway for those students to be a permanent resident for the future. And if we talk about Canada, they have a target of 1.5 million permanent residents in next 3 years, which can only be met by adding international students. Those 1.5 million are not going to come from outside Canada. Majority of them will be the students which are going now. They will be study after fulfilling the required points as Manish mentioned, so they are able to get their permanent residency.
Oh, Jasmeet, you want to add something what Sumit has
Definitely.
mentioned?
See, the major concern of each parent is that their ward should get a good job, they should make a good career in their life, But it definitely depends on the ranking of the institute or the college or the university student went to. So if you tell me if they're going into a top ranked university in any of the country, they will get placed earlier. But there is a scarcity of labor right now, even qualified labor or unqualified labor all across the world. If you tell me about Germany, they have 1.5 million jobs vacant right now. And those can be only filled if they take a lot of immigration or they take a lot of students. And if you talk about Canada, in next 2-3 years, they have 1.1 million jobs vacant. And by the end of 2040, most of their government jobs will be vacant and all the employees will be retiring because of the age factor. So Canada can only survive if they take lot of immigrants. So like Sumit said, next 3 years they have a plan to take 1.5 million immigrants to make them citizens or permanent residents of Canada. That can be only achieved if they will be giving PR to the local students as well as international students who are coming there and with the immigration policies. So Canada has made, I think so, their immigration policies for next 30 years because their economy is dependent on immigrants. So getting placed is very, very easy across the globe. If you tell me Canada or Australia or New Zealand and UK. But in USA, you will be placed if you are going to a good university because USA has a population of close to 30 crores, more than 30 crores, whereas Canada has a population of 3.5 crores. So it also depends the population of size of the country. So USA is already a developed country, whereas I feel Canada, there's a lot of scope of development. If you compare the land size of Canada is equal as US. But if you compare their population is just 1/10 of US population. So Canada's size is 3 times bigger than India. So we have a population of 130 crores, and Canada is at 3.5 crores. So then we can see that anybody going to Canada will be absorbed by Canada until unless you don't do any criminal activity, you don't follow any rules and regulation of that country, or you don't study.
Oh, thank you very much, Sumit, Jasmeet and Manish. I think this was insightful for our viewers. So now I would like to highlight one of the important aspect when we are talking about a journey towards studying abroad is expense. What is the kind of expense one has to incur? So I think there are different types of expenses. One is I'm sure the university fee, but apart from university fee, what all other important expenses which the student or the parents need to take care? So if you can just elaborate more on this.
It is very important question in this webinar context. As far as when student starts planning to go abroad, there are a lot of expenditure, like they have to understand what is the tuition fees of the university or the college which they are going. Also it is varies from country to country, also varies from ranking of the university. Some top-notch universities have more fees in comparison to some colleges, so that the decision students have to make based upon the availability of funds. Like first year, generally the tuition fees varies from 15 to 18 lakhs, while in the second year the fees varies from 10 to 12 lakhs. Apart from tuition, the other expenditures are involved in accommodation, which varies from $500 to $800, and also again it depends upon the lifestyle which student adopts. Another expenditure is involved in remittance of the tuition fees to the universities and the colleges, travel insurance, ticketing, as well as preparing for the admissions of those universities, because you have to meet some testing skills. You have to have IELTS and parallelly GRE, GMAT, depending upon the destination you are going. So these fees are included in the student journey. So whenever they have to start this journey, they have to add these costs in that, and also the embassy fees, which is also very high in some countries, we have to consider.
What is the approximate fee one has to plan for?
So the fees varies from country to country. As far as Canada is concerned, the tuition fees varies from $18,000 to $22,000. And when we talk about the colleges, when we are targeting about the universities, it varies from $30,000 to $60,000. And we have to add GIC component into it. So this is for Canada. While we talk about UK, it varies from 13,000 pound to 15,000 pound. And also you have to add some insurance etc. into that. And for US, it varies from $30,000 again to $50,000 US dollars for USA. And for Australia and New Zealand, again it varies from 15,000 New Zealand dollar to 22,000 New Zealand dollar, while in Australia it varies from 20,000 Australian dollar to 40,000 Australian dollars. All these are depends upon the selection of the university as well as course which student is taking.
I would like to emphasize upon like the aspiration versus affordability.
Okay.
So the students might have bigger aspirations to go to a certain university, but then they have to clearly check about the affordability regarding the tuition fee payments, because then they can't take a break, like kind of that, okay, I'll study for 1 year, or, I'll take a break for the next year, do some money arrangement, then come back. Then it's the planning should be done in such a manner that that's what we have been discussing today. So as a consultant, we would always like to emphasize upon the planning part, which a consultant always plays a major role. And regarding the academic planning, of course, the student, they have a lot of aspirations. But regarding the financial planning, the affordability factor, and to let the student know about the living costs there, and even sometimes even the flight tickets do matter. Everything matters, right from the minutest of the details, like once they land there, what is the cost for the airport pickup or drop service, to their accommodation, and what is the cost of the accommodation, the monthly wise, and the yearly wise, and how to be allocating their budgets intelligently. So all these things they play a very important role, because like a student, a starts journey, and the first focus should be on the studies, because only after the studies he is going to be eligible for the further benefits, like a good job.
So Manish, Sumit was talking about there are different types of expenses. It's like definitely the university fees, the first one, and then there are other. So, and this varies country to country, right? If you can just elaborate a bit more on what is the kind of expense which one is to incur.
See,
for US.
I'll give you an example. Canada, which has got a SDS program, student direct stream, where the students have to deposit tuition fee for 1 year as well as living expenses for 1 year. So that is clearly mentioned as $10,000. So similarly, New Zealand has got such a scheme where the student has to show funds nearly 20,000 New Zealand dollars, and Australia also has a similar one, like nearly about 20,000 Australian dollars that they have to take into account when they are applying for their visas. So the living costs are already recommended by the respective countries, where the student is interested for. And so living expenses, the tuition fee, and the travel. Okay, and also they should be very careful about the health insurance. Normally the health insurance has to be taken initially, but during their stay also there, they should be very, very careful about renewal of their health insurances, because the health is a very, very expensive proposition in these countries. So again, as a consultant, it's a very important thing that we always inform the students once they wish to start their journey for their study abroad. And these are how the things go,
So Jasmeet, if you go back in maybe 2010 or 2012, I think at that point of time, student going abroad for higher studies were limited, maybe because of the affordability or the expenses were a bit higher, or because nowadays, if you have seen in past 5-6 years, the number has gone up and it is rapidly growing year on year, and maybe because of the visibility, and there are many financial institutions are providing the education loan. Axis Bank is one of the major player who provides the education loan in a very affordable rate of interest.
Certainly the education loan have become more accessible. So education loan is more accessible to people. Even education loan is being offered without collateral. We have seen that, and students are availing those services and paying their tuition fees from the education loan and going abroad. And I know that education loan has a very, very flexible repayment plan also, which they can pass their studies and then pay off. But in case of all the countries, if you talk about Canada, US, UK or Germany, students are allowed to work part-time along with their studies. So if they are putting in 20 hours of study, they can work part-time. So they can work 20 hours part-time also. So they make money there also. And sometimes they don't even need to touch the GIC account. So some students don't even use the living cost which has been already transferred to Canada, so, or even in the case of US, UK, New Zealand or Australia, they don't even use the funds available for them for the living cost, because they are making the money what they are getting from their part-time jobs. And some students tend to make from $1,200 to $1,500 a month. So that is sufficient for them to use for their hostel accommodation, to use for their insurances, to use for their food. So that is a big amount. So they need not worry about sometimes to pay for their next year tuition fees also. So they save the GIC account or they save the living cost account to pay their next year tuition fees. So students are primarily becoming more, intelligent in case of money managing. I have seen students who are like 23 years old, 24 years old, even buying a house and a car in other countries, whereas in India, buying a house at the age of 40, we feel it is a blessing, So this is the biggest difference which you feel when you go abroad. And US and UK, we were discussing that preferably they were very, very, highlighted countries, and everybody wanted to get settled in US and UK. But they were not good settlement options. Whereas countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, they offered good settlement options. Students invested money, parents invested money, and in return they came back from USA and UK, and they did not get what they expected. They did not get good jobs in India, and then the students who went to Canada and Australia 10-12 years ago, and they are well settled, their families and even made a big home in India also.
Yeah.
So when you compare that kind of, draw a line, do a comparison, so these countries did outshine from those preferred destinations, and all over India now they're moving to places where they feel they can get settled and they can get a safer place. Their health is free in many of the countries. Once you are permanent resident, health is free, your children's education is free, so these are the major factors which makes it very, very attractive to go abroad and study. Sometimes settle, sometimes come back and use your exposure.
So as you're talking about the big numbers, the number of students going to Canada every year or to rest of the other corridor, if you can just let us the approximate numbers of students going to Canada or UK or US or any other geographies.
Like as you have earlier mentioned, the growth is going to be 2 million in next 5 years.
Yeah.
So this is clearly indication that a lot of students are going abroad. Like from India, more than 200,000 going to Canada, close to 120,000 to UK, and also more than 100,000 to USA. And Australia right now, after COVID, they opened up. They take around 80 to 90,000 a year. So a lot of good number of students are going abroad. In these countries, we haven't counted the students who are going to Europe, to Germany, to Malaysia, to other countries. Also, students are going.
Okay. So Manish, just want to come back to you, as you also mentioned COVID, right? Before and after, and Sumit also mentioned. So if you can just, because we have just recovered from COVID, I would say, because right recently and last 2 years were really bad for across the world. If you can just tell us a bit on the progress we have made after the COVID, and I suppose the data says that number of students going abroad, into all the geographies put together has drastically gone up. So what is your view if you compare the pre-COVID and the post-COVID?
So Mahesh, regarding the pre-COVID and post-COVID numbers, now for some countries, post-COVID, the numbers have actually increased. For example, UK has already crossed all the the numbers that they had. They have already gone very, very high. Now they are actually thinking about cutting some numbers. So similarly for Canada, as Sumit had mentioned, regarding the ever increasing numbers, but Canada requires a lot more numbers. So we see continuous growth in that part of the world. New Zealand has now come out of the COVID restrictions. So now we will see the student going back to New Zealand also. Earlier, for the last 2 years, it was completely zero. And now the things have started moving up there. And for Australia also, the numbers have been consistent. Applications have been quite a lot. Only the thing is that the Australian embassy takes a lot of time to process them, to get the genuine students. But some markets, as we were earlier talking about, the traditional MBBS markets, like the ones which are affordable for the students, like the Eastern Europe, because of the war situation and all. So the students, and China is still closed, not many students the new students are not going there, because a lot of students go there also for some of the courses, and this for MBBS also. So those markets are still closed. Let's see, but as per your statistics, we fully we also acknowledge that the numbers are increasing, because as we see in our own organizations, the numbers, the inquiries have increased quite a lot. The interest is there, from areas where we never expected the queries to come for study abroad options. But right now, even in India also, people with less affordable means also, now they are looking for options for their children. And the best part is that they have started planning much earlier,
Right,
before the
right.
students reach the age of 18, like a traditional high school student would complete the 18 years of age. So things are looking actually brighter. But again, the planning should be done properly, because study abroad is an expensive proposition, and the students have to leave from their comfort of their homes,
True.
from India, and the due diligence has to be done a lot from the parents and the student side also. At the same time, as a consultant, we are there to guide the students.
So as you mentioned, the number of applications has gone up
Yeah.
post-COVID, right? And I think we were hearing the news that the visa process
Times.
it was taking too much of time
Yeah.
immediately after the post-COVID, and we were planning to go abroad during the COVID time, and that number had gone up. Why?
Yeah.
Because most of the students, they opted to wait for one more
Yes.
year, maybe because of that. So now the visa process in 2021 and 22. Now we are in 22. So now the visa process is fine. Is it like?
Yeah, slowly we are coming back to
yeah.
the normal timings, especially if we talk about Canada. So now the processing times have like just hovering between 30 days to 45 days, like these days. But it had gone quite long, like even 4 to 6 months was the time when there was a kind of, because of the COVID lockdowns, and such a situation was there that the embassies were short-staffed, and still they are short-staffed.
Yeah.
But they're just trying to cope up, and we can only judge from the processing time. So now the processing times are coming back. Similarly, the appointments for US also, they are kind of helping the students in getting the appointments earlier, and they are like putting the other visitor categories and the other categories on a side burner, but students are being given the preference. And similarly for New Zealand, the market is opened up again. So we are looking the things on the brighter side, and so the timings are reduced for the processing, and we see this situation getting better in the coming days. And we always keep our fingers crossed now, because COVID has taught us a lot of lessons in life, so we cannot predict the things, and can never take the things for granted also at the same time.
Thank you, Manish, Jasmeet, and Sumit, for taking out your valuable time with us and helping us understand the on-ground realities related to traveling abroad for studies. And to all our viewers, I would like to extend our heartiest greetings. We sincerely hope the session was informative and helpful to each one of you. I would like to mention that Axis Bank with Dil Se Open philosophy is here for you. We will be happy to help you in this journey towards your dream of studying abroad. Axis Bank offers wide variety of services like education loan, forex card, remittances, travel insurance, which will make your journey abroad for education much easier. You can visit our website www.axisbank.com and go to Axis Bank Horizon page, which is one-stop solution for all your education-related offerings. You may also get in touch with your relationship manager or visit our nearest Axis Bank branch to know more about these services. With this, I close this session. See you in the next episode of Axis Bank Horizon. Till then, goodbye, all the best.